Hi, my name is Michael Lawson, and this is my SE 218 First Aid Self-Reflection. Um, so this is the incident details and the timeline. So I'll be discussing an incident that happened in a women's rugby game last week on the 15th of March. This was a rugby, women's rugby second team game, Essex Blades against Surrey. Surrey had 12 players, whilst the Essex Blades had 15 players. So the Surrey players were playing more aggressively in this game. And one of the incidents that happened in this game was when one of the Surrey players' shoulder struck the head of an Essex Blades player during a hard tackle. After the initial contact, the Essex player was kneeling on the ground, holding her head as if she had been bruised, but not hit so hard that she would have lost her bearings. She was still fully conscious and fully aware of what was going on. I approached the injured player and tried to gauge the severity of her injury by asking her how she felt, where the pain was located, how the pain was evolving. Did my best to comfort her. She was acutely hazy immediately after impact, but quickly regained awareness of her surroundings, as she recalls. And upon assessing the player, I saw no lacerations or and no bruising was present at the impact site. I provided her with an ice pack and kept her engaged by asking her simple questions to monitor her for symptoms of concussion. She responded quickly, correctly, and confidently due to a calm attitude. How she responded to my questions. Also, lack of swelling or serious discomfort. I determined she was she was still fit to carry on playing after a short rest and ice in her head. This player played for another 5 minutes before getting substituted. And when she returned to the bench, I followed up on her condition, checked up on her basically, on her condition, pain levels. She didn't complain of any pain, although there was slight swelling developing at the impact site, but the level of it didn't give me any cause of concern. I believed it wasn't serious enough to be a major cause of concern. And this whole incident from impact to substitution lasted for roughly 10 minutes. Initially, I was concerned because the injured player got heavily rocked back, and my concern grew as the players around her reacted strongly to the incident. They weren't. They were panic. The players around were panicking a little bit. Were suggesting, made it sound a lot worse than it actually was. But I was reassured when I saw that although she was holding the head of the impact, she wasn't holding her neck at any point, and she wasn't holding her head as if her head was ringing inside. She wasn't laying on the ground, strongly suggesting, her head was unlikely to be ringing, and there was no indication of neck injury. Due to the incident being a collision injury, I immediately determined using the ice pack was probably the most suitable choice of treatment. And I was further reassured by the player's attitude and composure. Uh, After asking her questions, having a conversation with her, which gave me the confidence to allow her to continue playing without any further treatment or tests. And when the player was substituted roughly 5 minutes later, I felt my concern flare up again and wanted to check on her, wanted to check on the player to assess her condition and to confirm her substitution wasn't due to new or renewed symptoms presenting, which is why I decided to follow up on her. But I quickly found out that that the substitution was for tactical reasons. It wasn't, it wasn't due to the injury. And because I assumed the injury would swell a little more after, I felt it was best to give her another ice pack to take home to mitigate her pain and symptoms. So these are the points I believe I did well in during this incident. As the plays were progressing, I was always physically tracking the center of the play to retain a clear view and good access to any potential injuries. As this was a rugby match, so as all the players moved up and down the pitch, well, essentially I moved up and down the pitch with them, just so I can get a close view, clear view, and so I can respond as quick as I could. I was also fully engrossed in the game, which meant I responded quickly, efficiently to the incident as soon as it unfolded. As mentioned before, the lack of laceration bleeding, swelling, initially no bruising being present. I believe providing her with the ice pack was the correct treatment. And I kept a constant and stable line of communication with the injured player to reassure her, although she was calm to begin with. When I approached her, I still did my best to keep her engaged and retained her attention through simple questions to snuck in questions during conversations, just to assess whether she was concussed, and the likelihood of any more serious injury. I believe I've followed good practice because I followed up on her condition 3 times, acutely following the impact, after she was substituted and after the game, at which point I provided her with a second ice pack to help with the light swelling that was now presenting after the game. So these are the aspects I believe I could improve on. So to allow play to continue, I believe I should have perhaps moved the player, escorted the player off the pitch before I began my assessment, as I could determine from her positioning that she could be moved without any unnecessary danger. As I walked up to the player, I heard the other players making their own guesses and assumptions, and I noticed it was influencing me, and I noticed my concern was rising due to their reactions. I'm I'm aware that I should be using my knowledge and expertise gained from previous first aiding experience and lectures to critically assess the injury rather than allowing other people's gut reactions to sway me. My my judgment of the severity of the injury or my choice of initial treatment. I may have been too susceptible to other people's reactions and opinions and allowed that influence and allow that influence on, well, it influenced how serious I thought the injury was when I was making my initial assessment. I felt I also, on the last bullet point, I also felt a little out of depth when holding a conversation with the player, as I hadn't prepared a pro. I hadn't prepared many simple but engaging questions to ask of a player who may be suffering from concussion, as I didn't want her to suspect something was seriously wrong. But I wanted to keep her engaged enough so I could determine whether she was concussed. I wanted the conversation and questions to feel natural, to reassure the player I had the situation under control. Uh, for this self reflection, I used Gibbs' model of reflection. Uh, it is one of the most famous cyclical models of reflection, leading you through 6 stages. Um, description of the event, feelings, evaluation, analysis, concussion, action plan. I believe personally this model was the highlighted the two key things which I believe very important for self-reflection, and that's evaluation and the conclusion, and also the action plan as well. So what to do for next time when the similar situation arises. Thank you very much. This is my presentation finished.